Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today with a message that might be uncomfortable, but one that is incredibly necessary. We live in a world filled with distractions, false smiles, and empty promises. We encounter people every day. Some we can trust and some we cannot. But how do we know who is truly for us and who is secretly against us? How do we discern the difference between a friend and a foe, between someone who genuinely cares and someone who is out to harm us? Today, I will share with you 6 red flags, the unmistakable signs that can reveal when the person next to you is not just misguided, but truly evil. These red flags, when identified and understood, will empower you to make wiser decisions, protect your heart, and guard your peace. One of the clearest indicators that the person next to you is evil is their persistent need to manipulate. Manipulation is a subtle but powerful form of control. It can be disguised as kindness, concern, or even affection. But at its core, manipulation seeks to exploit and dominate others for personal gain. It is the weapon of choice for those who wish to bend the world to their will without ever having to offer something in return. Manipulation takes many forms. It can be as simple as making you feel guilty when you don't act according to their wishes, or as complex as crafting elaborate lies and stories to make you believe something that isn't true. These are people who know how to play on your emotions, twist your vulnerabilities, and make you question your reality. They are skilled at making you feel like you owe them something, even if you don't. In relationships, manipulation can appear as a loving gesture, someone helping you, but with strings attached. You'll hear phrases like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me," or "I've been there for you, now you owe me this." These words are not just attempts to seek help or support. They are tactics to make you feel indebted. And once you are emotionally in debt, you are vulnerable. You will act in ways that serve their needs, not your own. Think about a partner who consistently pressures you into decisions that only benefit them. Maybe they push you to take on responsibilities or commitments that you know aren't right for you, but they make you feel as if saying no is selfish. They know just how to pull on your heartstrings to get their way, but their concern is never about your well-being. It's about using you as a means to an end. This is the essence of manipulation. A manipulative person will also isolate you from others, intentionally sowing doubt about those who might help you see through their schemes. They want you to feel like they're the only one who truly understands you, the only one who has your back. They will paint others as unreliable, toxic, or untrustworthy, while portraying themselves as your savior. You've probably encountered someone who always seems to have the perfect advice, the perfect plan, but when you follow their direction, it's always for their benefit. You might start to realize that when you help them or give them what they want, they never reciprocate. In fact, they will often take credit for your efforts, while you are left feeling small, unimportant, or even guilty for not doing more. This is a dangerous dynamic. It's the act of taking, always taking, and never giving back. Real life examples of manipulation are everywhere. Think about the classic example of a workplace dynamic. You have a co-worker who constantly asks for favors, offering you little in return. They might tell you that everyone else is too busy, or "I'm counting on you to help me out." Over time, you begin to feel like you're the one who has to step in whenever things go wrong, while they consistently evade responsibility. And when the time comes for them to stand up and take accountability, they disappear, leaving you to clean up their mess. You are left drained, frustrated, and resentful while they continue to manipulate you for their own selfish gain. Manipulation is a power play. It's a way to control the narrative, control the decisions, and control the people in the person's life. They make you feel important, make you feel needed, but it's all a facade. It's a performance designed to entrap you emotionally so that they can get what they want. Another red flag that signals the presence of evil is a person who consistently refuses to take responsibility for their actions. It's not just that they make mistakes, everyone does. The problem lies in how they respond when they are called to account for their behavior. A person who cannot acknowledge their faults, who constantly shifts the blame to others, is a person who is not only lacking in integrity, but is actively engaging in deception. You've likely encountered someone who can never admit when they're wrong. They always find a way to turn the tables, pointing fingers at someone else or creating distractions to avoid facing their own shortcomings. This is a form of moral cowardice. When a person cannot take responsibility, they become toxic. They refuse to look within themselves for growth, preferring instead to blame the world around them for their failures. In a personal relationship, this behavior is especially damaging. Imagine being in a situation where your partner or friend continually hurts you but never acknowledges their role in the hurt. They dismiss your pain, saying things like, "You're overreacting," or "It's not that big of a deal." Instead of owning up to their mistakes, they deflect and invalidate your feelings. They place the burden of their actions squarely on you. This lack of accountability leads to an environment where you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, afraid to speak up because you know it will only result in more manipulation, more avoidance, and more emotional turmoil. And after each confrontation, the manipulator walks away scotangent free while you are left questioning your own worth and your place in the relationship. This is not love, this is exploitation. This behavior extends into the professional world, where you might encounter colleagues or bosses who never take responsibility for their failures. When a project goes wrong, they'll make excuses, point to external factors, or blame their team for not executing their vision properly. They are never the ones who made a mistake, it's always someone else's fault. This creates an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty where no one feels safe enough to own up to their mistakes. It breeds dishonesty and a lack of trust. And over time, it destroys the morale of an entire organization. The refusal to take responsibility is a hallmark of someone who lacks integrity. It is a clear indication that they do not value honesty, self-reflection, or growth. Instead, they are stuck in a perpetual cycle of deflection, always running away from the truth and blaming others for the consequences of their actions. One of the most dangerous aspects of this behavior is how it manipulates others into feeling responsible for things they didn't do. For example, a parent who neglects their child's emotional needs but blames the child for acting out is perpetuating a harmful cycle of guilt and shame. The child, feeling unloved and unsupported, will grow up believing they are the cause of the problem, even though the issue lies with the parent's failure to take responsibility for their behavior. This refusal to take responsibility is a destructive force. It denies the possibility of healing, growth, or reconciliation. Instead of confronting their mistakes and learning from them, the person continues to project their own failures onto others, creating a toxic environment where no one can thrive. When you encounter a person who consistently shows a lack of empathy for others' suffering, it's one of the most obvious signs that they have an evil nature. True compassion is the foundation of all healthy relationships, whether with family, friends, or colleagues. When someone cannot feel the pain of another, when they're indifferent to the struggles and challenges that others face, it is a glaring red flag that their heart is far from pure. Evil is born out of an absence of empathy. The person who does not care about others' pain is one who sees people as mere tools to be used, rather than human beings deserving of dignity and respect. They walk through life with a heart hardened to the suffering of others, and in doing so, they perpetuate harm. It's not that they are unaware of others' struggles, no, they simply don't care. Think about the person who revels in another's misfortune. Maybe it's the colleague who quietly celebrates when a co-worker is passed over for a promotion, or the so-called friend who mocks another person for experiencing a failure. Instead of offering support or compassion, they take pleasure in watching others fall. They might even feed off that negativity, finding joy in someone else's misstep because it momentarily boosts their fragile ego. This disregard for others' pain is especially evident in toxic relationships. A manipulative partner may belittle you when you're struggling, throwing your vulnerabilities in your face as weapons rather than offering comfort. Instead of listening when you need them most, they might criticize or make fun of you for your emotional struggles, making you feel inadequate or weak. They show no willingness to sit with you in your suffering, to help you bear the weight of the moment. Instead, they use your pain as leverage to manipulate you into doing what they want. The evil person, devoid of empathy, has no room for compassion. They lack the ability to understand that every person has their own battles. They believe the world revolves around them, and anyone else's hardship is a mere inconvenience or even a form of entertainment. This mentality can be especially dangerous in positions of power, where the harm caused by a lack of empathy can spread like wildfire. Take, for example, the leader who ignores the suffering of their team. In the workplace, a boss who is indifferent to the mental health of their employees creates an environment of fear and burnout. They push their staff to meet unrealistic deadlines, ignore requests for reasonable accommodations, and show no care when employees are overwhelmed. In their eyes, workers are just cogs in a machine, disposable and easily replaced. The disregard for their struggles erodes morale, causing long-term damage to the entire organization. But the evil leader doesn't care. All that matters is their own success, no matter the cost to others. In everyday life, this lack of empathy manifests as a refusal to connect with others on a human level. A person who has no empathy cannot understand the value of support or solidarity. They might say things like, "You're just being dramatic," or "It's not a big deal." These dismissive words aren't just callous, they dehumanize the other person, reducing them to a problem to be solved or an annoyance to be ignored. But the true danger lies in how this lack of empathy can escalate. Once a person becomes numb to the suffering of others, they stop seeing people as people. They start to view them as obstacles to their own desires. And when they no longer see you as human, when your pain means nothing to them, it becomes far easier for them to hurt you without remorse. Fear is one of the most powerful tools of control, and it is often employed by those with evil intentions. When someone uses fear as a method to manipulate or dominate others, they are not acting out of love, care, or concern. They are acting out of a desire to break others down, to make them submissive, to instill a sense of powerlessness that benefits only the manipulator. Evil thrives on fear because fear paralyzes us. It prevents us from thinking clearly, acting rationally, or standing up for ourselves. Fear isolates us from others, makes us doubt our own strength, and compels us to act in ways that are against our own best interest. The person who uses fear knows this intimately. They know that when you are scared, you are less likely to challenge them, less likely to question their authority or their decisions. In abusive relationships, fear is often used as a weapon to maintain control. The abusive partner will create a climate of constant tension, using threats and intimidation to keep the other person in line. They may threaten violence, emotional abandonment, or financial ruin if their demands are not met. This creates a cycle of fear, where the victim is afraid to leave, afraid to speak up, and afraid to stand up for themselves. Imagine being in a relationship where you're constantly walking on eggshells, afraid that one wrong move could set off a volcanic reaction from your partner. Every conversation feels like a potential battleground, where the wrong word could lead to a screaming match, an insult, or worse. The person you're with uses fear to control your every action, to make you feel small and insignificant. Their presence alone fills you with dread, and you start to question your own worth. The longer this goes on, the more you feel trapped, convinced that there is no way out. Fear is not always explicit. It doesn't always come in the form of direct threats. Sometimes it's more subtle. The boss who constantly implies that your job is at risk unless you go along with their unreasonable demands, is using fear to control you. The friend who dangles the threat of withdrawal of affection unless you conform to their wishes is creating fear in your heart. Fear can be created by manipulation, by withholding love, or by making others feel as though their survival or success depends entirely on pleasing the one in power. At its core, fear-based control creates an unhealthy dynamic where the person being manipulated loses their autonomy. They begin to believe that they cannot make decisions for themselves, that they must always defer to the person creating the fear. And the longer this dynamic continues, the harder it becomes to break free. Fear becomes a prison, and the manipulator holds the keys. Even in seemingly benign situations, the use of fear can have a devastating impact. Think of a parent who controls their child through fear, threatening to abandon them or withhold love unless they conform to certain behaviors or beliefs. The child grows up feeling that their worth is tied to how well they please their parent, that their actions determine whether they are worthy of love. This can lead to a lifetime of insecurity, anxiety, and the inability to trust others, as the child internalizes the belief that love is conditional and fear-based. Using fear as a tool isn't just about controlling someone's actions, it's about controlling their mind. It's about making them believe that they are powerless, that they have no choice but to comply. And this is where the real danger lies. When someone has been controlled by fear for long enough, they may stop questioning the behavior that's being imposed upon them. Fear makes us compliant, and that compliance is what evil thrives on. Envy and jealousy are among the most destructive forces in human nature. They are emotions that not only tarnish the person who harbors them, but also poison the lives of those around them. When someone is consumed by envy, they will do whatever it takes to see you fall, because in their mind, your success is a direct threat to their own sense of self-worth. They will undermine, sabotage, and even manipulate situations to ensure that you don't rise higher than they have. The evil person bound by envy is never satisfied. No achievement you make, no victory you claim is ever celebrated by them. Instead, it's met with resentment, bitterness, or worse, a silent hatred. Envy doesn't just want to see the other person fail. It thrives on seeing them suffer. When they can no longer deny your success, they will try to minimize it, dismiss it, or turn it against you in some way. Take a moment to reflect on the people in your life who can never seem to be happy for you. Perhaps it's a colleague who cannot congratulate you on your promotion, even though they've witnessed your hard work. Instead of offering encouragement, they make a snide comment or try to shift the conversation to their own perceived struggles. It's not that they aren't proud of you, they just can't bear the thought that you have something they don't. Their envy clouds their ability to appreciate anyone else's success, even when it's well-deserved. This form of jealousy is toxic, and it's a powerful red flag. Envy twists a person's sense of self so much that they begin to define their worth through the failure of others. They see every win you have as a reflection of their own shortcomings. Instead of using your success as inspiration or motivation, they let it erode their peace, creating a cycle of bitterness and negativity. In personal relationships, jealousy can be particularly damaging. If your partner or friend cannot stand to see you grow, they will actively try to hold you back. They may try to limit your opportunities, to make you doubt your abilities, or to sabotage your efforts in subtle ways. They create situations where you feel guilty for wanting more success, more happiness, more growth. This isn't love, this is control. Envy fuels insecurity, and an envious person will make you feel like you don't deserve your happiness. They will pit your dreams against theirs, creating an unhealthy dynamic of competition rather than collaboration. The consequences of envy extend beyond just one relationship. In a workplace, a team dominated by envy becomes toxic. Imagine a project where one person consistently undermines the progress of the others, downplaying their contributions, stealing their ideas, or spreading rumors about their work. They're not interested in helping the team succeed. They're only concerned with making sure no one surpasses them. Their actions damage the morale of the entire group, making collaboration impossible and fostering an environment of fear and resentment. This is the evil of envy, its ability to turn potential into chaos. In extreme cases, envy can even manifest as a desire to destroy what others have worked hard to build. In the worst instances, a person might go so far as to sabotage your career, spread malicious lies about you, or take credit for your accomplishments, all to diminish you and elevate themselves. They want to see you broken, not because you've hurt them, but simply because they cannot bear to see you succeed when they feel they are failing. The most insidious part of envy is how it distorts reality. The person consumed by jealousy will often convince themselves that they are justified in their actions. They will rationalize their behavior, believing that your success somehow came at their expense, even if that is not true. This distortion is what makes envy so dangerous. It makes the envious person feel entitled to tear others down, even when they are the ones suffering from their own negative emotions. One of the most telling signs of a person with evil intentions is their complete lack of a higher purpose or vision beyond their own self-interest. These individuals are entirely consumed by their own desires, their own goals, and their own needs. They have no greater mission, no deeper commitment to anything other than their own advancement. They are self-centered to the core, and as a result, they will stop at nothing to achieve their personal aims, regardless of the consequences for others. At first glance, a person like this might seem confident or driven. They may present themselves as highly motivated or ambitious, even charismatic, but scratch the surface and you'll quickly see that everything they do is for one reason: to gain power, status, or wealth. There's no room in their worldview for empathy, collaboration, or even basic kindness. It's all about them, what they can get, how they can climb higher, and how they can stay on top. In the workplace, these individuals often rise through manipulation, deception, or sheer ruthlessness. They will take credit for the hard work of others, push people aside to make room for their own ascent, and do whatever it takes to maintain their position. But underneath their success lies a hollow existential person who cannot find joy or satisfaction in anything beyond personal gain. There is no passion for the work itself, no joy in creating something meaningful. There is only the drive to accumulate more power, more money, and more control. In personal relationships, the person without a greater purpose will use others for their own benefit. They don't care about mutual growth, shared goals, or enriching one another's lives. What matters most to them is how you serve their needs, whether that means providing emotional support, financial assistance, or even just admiration. If you are no longer useful to them, if your presence no longer serves their ambitions, they will quickly discard you and move on to the next person who can help them reach their goal. Consider a partner who never supports your dreams because they're too busy pursuing their own. They might belittle your aspirations or dismiss your ambitions altogether, making you feel as though your goals are insignificant compared to theirs. In their mind, the relationship isn't about mutual growth or shared values. It's simply about what you can give them. Your happiness, your dreams, and your future are nothing more than stepping stones to their own personal success. These individuals are often charming and persuasive, able to convince others that they are looking out for their best interests. But over time, it becomes clear that their loyalty is conditional. They are not interested in seeing you succeed or flourish. They are interested in what they can extract from you. They will take what you have to offer, and when it no longer serves them, they will move on without a second thought. The lack of purpose beyond themselves is perhaps the most dangerous sign of all, because it reveals the deep emptiness within. A person with no higher purpose, no guiding vision, is a person who is only focused on survival, on self-preservation, and on their own fleeting satisfaction. They cannot offer anything of substance because they have nothing within themselves to give. They are simply trying to fill a void, and they will do so at the expense of others. In the end, these individuals do not care about you. They do not care about the community, the world, or any cause greater than their own desires. They are like parasites, feeding off the energy and resources of those around them until there is nothing left to take. And when they've taken everything they can from you, they will move on, leaving behind only emptiness and destruction. In life, we encounter people who can either uplift us or drag us down, and it's crucial to recognize the signs when someone around us is driven by evil intentions. Those who manipulate, avoid responsibility, disregard the suffering of others, use fear to control, are consumed by envy, or live only for their own selfish gain, pose a real threat not only to our peace and well-being, but to our sense of self-worth and purpose. While these red flags can be difficult to face, they are essential to acknowledge for the preservation of your emotional health, your relationships, and your future. The person who lives with evil intentions is often skilled at hiding behind masks of charm or kindness, but their true nature will eventually show itself through their actions. These signs are not always glaring at first, but if you learn to recognize them, you will protect yourself from being manipulated, controlled, or emotionally harmed. Empathy, integrity, and a sense of purpose beyond oneself are the antidotes to the darkness that others may carry. A life lived with a genuine respect for others, a commitment to growth, and a vision that is greater than self-interest is a life that will thrive. Don't allow those who live in the shadows of envy, manipulation, and fear to dim your light. Stand firm in your truth. Surround yourself with those who genuinely support you, and refuse to allow toxic forces to dictate your path. The power lies in your hands to recognize evil, distance yourself from it, and protect your heart, mind, and spirit. You have the strength to break free from the influence of negative, self-serving people, and you are worthy of love, respect, and the opportunity to flourish. Trust yourself, trust your instincts, and never settle for anything less than a life that is authentic, empowering, and aligned with your true purpose.